will Darwin Nunez ever score again?
He will.
The pause you took to answer that question. Welcome to the latest episode of Yahoo Footballing Weekly, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's me, Yahoo columnist Neil
Welcome to
Humphreys.
2024. And me, Yahoo editor Chia and Keong. This is our first episode of 2024.
And we're doing a special look ahead into 2024, which is why I don't often do this. Look at this, look. This is the first FA Cup final jersey that West Ham wore and won in 1964.
60 years.
60th anniversary this year. They won't win anything this year, so I'll just wear this one. Yeah. All right, let's look ahead to 2024. First things first, get stuck into the EPL title contenders. Man City first, what do you think?
So many title contenders I was about to say. So Manchester City, defending champions, hasn't been really kicking, like dominating, like starting off like flying. So there was a bit of wobble. There was a period when they couldn't win. Maybe like they lost to what they lost to? They drew with
they lost with loads of teams. They lost
no, they drew with 3 teams. I think was Spurs were one of them, and then they lost to Aston Villa. Yes. So there was a bit of wobble. Do you think they'll keep on wobbling, or do you think that 2024 will be better for them?
I think Manchester City in 2024 will continue to wobble, but A, I don't really care, and B, the biggest issue for Pep Guardiola for me is the PR war. I think 2024 is going to be a make or break year for Manchester City's reputation.
Right.
Because 115 charges are going to keep bubbling. They're going to keep bubbling. Everton's 10-point punishment will not go away in terms of spotlight. So I think in the next few months, you're going to see Pep Guardiola being asked more and more questions. And if he gets testy, as he's been lately, that's going to really alienate him. And if he wins a 4th title, and it will make records, it is great. No one's ever done it, 4 titles in a row. But those 115 charges, this will be the year when Manchester City needs to win the PR battle, or they're going to lose their reputation.
I totally agree with you, because I think this is going to be a shadow over them for the next half of the season.
100%.
I think you see him just making fun of the pundits, and then Jamie Carragher got a quick repost
exactly,
of that.
and it was a good repost.
That was a good repost, and I feel that even the players, I think they will be under pressure if things are brewing, and then there's always talk on, and then they do interviews, and who knows what might happen, and especially if they start to run off with the title again, people will be like 115 charges gives you that, and then obviously it bugs, and I know it really bugs Guardiola. He's known to be like a football guy. He wants to win it on the pitch more than anybody else, and he's got that mad genius kind of mentality that if things disturbs him that way, he'll be so tense, so uptight that he will start to spout a lot of angry words, and that's my favorite part of him.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so Manchester City, regardless what happens on the pitch, I think off the pitch they'll have to, like you said, win the PR war.
Yeah, and on the pitch, Manchester City, I'll just say that this has to be the year for the 2 English stars, Foden and Grealish. We can't keep saying it's coming. It must be now. Yeah. I feel that this is all leading up to Euro 2024. Yeah. This is the last real attempt for that generation of players who have been promising since 2018. That's 6 years ago now. This is Gareth Southgate's last chance. Jack Grealish, he's at the so-called peak of his career. And Phil Foden, he keeps knocking on the door of fulfilling his potential. And I know it sounds ridiculous. He's won trebles and trophies, but he's just not quite there yet, right?
Not the man for the City yet.
Yeah.
And now you got Jude Bellingham at Real Madrid, who's just tearing away.
Prodigious.
And then, nobody's going to care about Grealish or Foden if they don't assert themselves within the City squad. Everybody's going to say Jude Bellingham is going to be the one leading England towards Euro 2004. So Euro 24, So,
I agree. It's make or break in terms of hitting their real potential for club and country, Foden and Grealish. All right. Are they going to win the title? Yes or no?
Well,
Or could they? We know they can.
obviously they can, but I like I said several episodes before, I think Kevin De Bruyne will be key, but you don't know whether he can come back to his best with such a long injury layoff.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and predict that they won't win it.
And I'm going to sit on the fence. No, I don't know. All right, let's move on to Arsenal. Now, I'll be very clear on Arsenal. I've been consistent with Arsenal all season. To me, Arsenal is cut and dried. If Arsenal do not sign a striker of repute in the January transfer window, they will not get anywhere close to winning the title. I'll go a step further. I'm not even sure the Gunners will finish in the top 3.
Yeah,
not enough goals.
Once the Champions League resumes in February, and then they got to contend with all on both fronts, I think the strain will show there.
Yeah.
I think, I agree with you. They lack a proven striker, goal poacher. And personally, I'm not sure they're gonna get it during
I agree.
the January transfer window. It's difficult to get anybody to.
And I like Jesus and I like Nketiah. They're good boys, but title-winning players tricky.
Tricky.
Declan Rice, fantastic.
Oh, I think for those top signings, he was the signing of the season.
Couldn't agree more. But with the issues with the keeper and the striker, it's not enough. January transfer window will decide if Arsenal can win the title or not. All right, here we go. Manchester United.
The head case of the league.
What's our prediction, 2024 prediction for Manchester United?
Oh, I doubt they'll even make Europe.
But I agree. I agree.
I think, well, if last season it was a bit clear-cut, Liverpool was struggling, Aston Villa were nowhere around, then maybe you can say they can still contend for Europe. But now that Spurs are on their way back, Aston Villa is enjoying all the season they're enjoying. Newcastle, if they solve their injury problems, they're still going to be there. And then Liverpool, obviously, now they don't have that kind of injury problems as last season. Where will Manchester United with their dysfunctional club, where are they going to be better than them? I can't see it.
Could agree more. First half of the season, Manchester United barely beat the teams they were supposed to beat and didn't beat any of the teams who were a little bit tougher, top 6. I can see, because it's so condensed in the middle of the table, it's very conceivable that Manchester United will end up mid-table. Yeah. Then if Radcliffe comes in, or even if he doesn't and the Glazers are looking to sell, if they're mid-table, they could be forced to act. They've got McLaren sitting there, right? He's the assistant. Ten Hag goes, McLaren is caretaker until the end of the season, until they find somebody else. That's not inconceivable.
Nope.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if they start losing heavily to the likes of Liverpool and the teams around them, mid-table obscurity, I don't see Ten Hag getting to the end of the season.
I think if they continue to be so schizophrenic, the easy way out it is the easy way out if let's say Eric Ten Hag goes, but the more important thing is whether if there's any if Jim Ratcliffe takes over, whether there's any of the will to completely revamp the club and actually. If that happens, they might actually get somewhere. Yeah. But I hard to see it happening. Yeah.
All right then, Liverpool, his mob. The only question we need to ask about Liverpool in 2024 is, will Darwin Nunez ever score again?
He will.
The pause you took to answer that question. I was only joking. I wasn't literally saying he would.
I'm just saying he will score after hitting the post about 10 times. Yeah. That's what we love him because of that. I think for Liverpool fans, he's such a. You want him to do it. Everybody's like, come on, just hit the thing. And then every time he goes on, he like one-on-one through on goal, or he's facing an open goal, all of us like, please. No. And then
I like him. He's not Andy Carroll, and I'm joking. He's not Diego Forlan. The fact we talked about this at our live roadshow, the fact that Bielsa is building his attack around Nunez for Uruguay, and he's scoring regularly for his country in some high-profile South American games. He's got the talent.
Yes, but I think it's his mind. I think sometimes once you keep on hitting the post here and there, and something works against you, you can't. It's fortunate that Liverpool still have Mo Salah with them, and maybe Jota and Luis Diaz who will chip in with the goals. If they are completely rely on Nunez, then I think Liverpool are in trouble.
So what does Liverpool need to do to win the title?
Whoa. Keep coming back from 1-0 down.
But you can't keep doing that.
which is a tall task. But obviously, Nunez has to start scoring proper and scoring in bunches and not leaving other people to chip in. Otherwise, the defense and the defensive midfield role, if there's, I don't think there's any opportunities to really boost to improve the areas. So they got to get better. They got to not make silly mistakes. And then maybe there's a chance. I mean, it's not that big of a chance. I think they're still in the sense of a rebuilding mode. But if this is such an open race, I know.
Yeah.
So there's if they show up a bit here and there, the minor improvements within the players, I think they could have a chance.
I agree. I actually think Liverpool can win the title in the way that top 3 teams could win the title because it's so open. But to me, it depends on 2 very specific areas. Central midfield. Szoboszlai and McAllister need to play out of their skins for the next 5 months because the defence is just too vulnerable. Just too vulnerable. And the second part for me, and it's because I'm prejudiced towards this guy, Trent Alexander-Arnold has to be astonishing. For the opposite reason, you can't rely exclusively on their attack for goals. They've either got to be supplied by him or scored by him. So Szoboszlai and McAllister, if they are absolutely formidable in the central, in central midfield, and Trent Alexander-Arnold has the quarterbacking performances of his life, I think they can do it. I think they can do it.
I don't disagree with that, but it's a tall.
Oh, of course,
tall order.
Of course. Let us know what you think, as always, because the reason it's so open. The dark horses.
Oh, yeah.
Have we ever had so many dark horses?
You got Spurs. You got Newcastle, I think, who's still around.
Newcastle's still around. Villa.
Yeah, Aston Villa.
And you can never write off Brighton. They're going to come good in the second half of the season.
And occasionally Brentford will throw a spanner in the
Everyone's
works.
throwing up silly results. Bournemouth have made a comeback with a new manager. They're winning games.
Yeah, so many teams. Even West Ham.
Fulham have been playing well.
Fulham, West Ham. Yeah. On their day, they could.
Yeah, but they lost 5-0 to Fulham. But we don't talk about that one. Right, of the dark horses, who's your favourite?
Oh, I would have to say Villa.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think such a transformation under Unai Emery, like out of nowhere. It's really out of nowhere, and and with a bunch of you try to compare them with Newcastle last season, and Newcastle came in 4th out, and then they were in the top 4 for quite a while. And we try to compare Aston Villa with Newcastle, but don't forget Newcastle had Saudi backing. They have all sorts of financial resources which Aston Villa don't have, and they're still playing that well. I think it's all full credit to not just the players, but also Unai Emery. Yeah.
You disappoint me. Call yourself an Asian. Call yourself an Asian. Tottenham. I've stuck with Tottenham. I'm staying with Tottenham. Of all the dark horses, I want Tottenham to do well. It pains me to say this, but I have to remember where I live, Asia. Big Ange, big reputation in Asia. He made his career in Asia. Son Heung-min, obviously, South Korean god. Those two together can really help to put Asian football on the map. Tottenham, top 4. That's what I'm hoping for.
Good luck. If there's no more injuries, I think they could do it.
I'm not saying they will because their defence is all over the place, but I'd love to see it happen. Yeah. Right, other end of the table, quick one. Relegation candidates. Who's going down and why?
Sadly, not Everton.
Well, no big prediction. Everton will finish mid-table at least.
Even with that 10-point.
And it's because of that. That siege mentality, in some ways, for a manager like Sean Dyche,
is the best thing.
Is the best because he is an old-school, militaristic kind of manager. Yeah. He will use that deduction to galvanise the team. It's completely working. Yeah. They'll finish mid-table. They'll be absolutely fine.
I think they will. Sadly, for a Liverpool fan, I still wouldn't see them get relegated.
Partly,
fair enough.
Partly because you're seeing this chasm opening up we talked about in the English Premier League because of the gap now being so wide between the EPL and the rest. The teams that go back down come back up again because of the parachute payments.
And then go back down.
And go back down, come back up, go back down, come back up. So because of that,
Sheffield United
are gone for me. Forest have gone for me. Now, this is the tricky one.
Yeah.
This is my heart ruling my head. I want Luton Town to stay up. Are you
Same
the same?
here, same
I
here.
want those boys of Kenilworth Road
they
to
come
stay
close.
up.
They drawn with Liverpool. They were leading against Manchester City. But I really hope that is just one of the best stories of the season.
I agree, 100%.
And, they're flying. Sometimes they will drop back into the relegation zone. Sometimes they'll climb out. Good luck to them. I hope they don't. And neither do I wish Bournemouth. Bournemouth is starting to play very well right now. I mean, I don't wish for any teams to go down, but I think Sheffield United, Forest, and if they are not careful, Wolves might find themselves.
Yeah,
in
could
trouble
be.
as well.
But let us know what you think. Who's getting relegated? Who's finishing the top 4? Who's winning the title? Send all your comments and predictions too.
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Right, here we go. Singapore football 2024. Let's get into some of our predictions. What's going to happen in the local scene?
So there's one big change happening in the Singapore Premier League. Albirex Niigata.
Yep.
For so long, they are a predominantly Japanese team. It's like a feeder club to the team in J League.
Correct.
So a lot of Japanese players, second team come in and build their footballing skills and everything with Albirex Niigata Singapore. From next season onwards, they are going to be more predominantly Singaporean. So there's a complete revamp of what they are. The coach will still be Yoshinaga, but the players might be completely different. They might retain some Japanese players with them, the better ones, but it will be mostly Singaporeans, and that means that they have been champions for the last two seasons, and for quite a long last decade they've been very, very successful, keep on winning the league. Can they do it with a locally based players? That's the big question.
And what you want, and I hope, it'll be a very close race between Albirex, Lion City Sailors for sure, and maybe Tampines or Geylang, but certainly those two. And as I mentioned in the previous podcast, we need those two sides to start competing at regional level. We need a rival at some point to JDT.
And that's why Albirex wanted to turn local, because as a feeder club to a Japanese club, they weren't allowed to go into the regional, the Champions League. Now they can if they win the league. But winning the league now becomes a big question mark for them. So they still have a very good organization and very good grassroots in Jurong East. So that basis is fine. Now whether they can replicate what they've been doing on the pitch with local players, that's the big question.
Correct. To me, it's very simple. Next season, or 2024, Singapore needs a JDT. They need a Johor powerhouse. Whatever we may think about JDT, they're on the map now. They are known regionally. People, football fans across Asia Pacific, across Oceania, they know about JDT. They know about their players. They get a huge following in Malaysia.
30,000.
Exactly. Massive on social media. We need that here. JDT needs to be our benchmark, our model for Lion City Sailors or Albirex to follow.
Yeah, and the Sailors... Actually, I do feel the Sailors are really following the JDT kind of thing. So privatized clubs, and then so now they have their own training center. They got their quite a strong fan base in Bishan. And next season, now the Albirex, they're coming second to Albirex for the last 2 seasons. And now the Albirex becomes a more local based team. It's all signs might point to Lion City Sailors as one of the favourites to lift the league title.
Hope so. That'd be something. I really, really hope so. Right. Big question. Will Singapore get a new national Lions coach in 2024?
I really hope so. So. I mean, the last few years of results hasn't been satisfactory of any extent, even though we know that the talent quality we have also not really up to mark, but we are missing out on what a national coach can can do if we persist with extending Coach Nishigaya's contract. I think we need our national coach to galvanize the team, to inspire the team, and to galvanize the nation to be behind the team, especially with the AFF Championship coming up at the end of the year. Getting somebody who offers a bit more, who has respect of the players, who has seen what is happening in the regional scene and been successful of it, I think is a better option than maybe persisting with Nishigaya. But it's all up to the FAS.
I can't disagree with any of that, my friend. I'm a little bit disappointed because there were rumours that the Lions' job might be taken by Paul Ince.
Yeah.
Paul Ince, West Ham Paul Ince. The same Paul Ince who grew up in my town of Dagenham. You know that? We grew up streets apart from each other. I had it all worked out. He would come on this podcast every week. We'd play up our Dagenham connections. Wow. We'd have the Man U legend.
Now I'm supporting Paul Ince.
Yeah, now it's not happening. But Paul Ince, if you do happen to see this, we'd have so much to talk about with West Ham and Dagenham and so on. So do please take the Lions' job. And you can come on here whenever you like. Fair enough?
Fair. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think there'll have to be a coaching change in 2024. Yeah. But the biggest issue for us by far in 2023 was Cardiff's up-and-coming player of the year, Perry Ng. Just to recap, he's got a Singaporean grandfather. Therefore, under FIFA rules, he qualifies to play for Singapore as a heritage player. So, in 2024, what do you think is going to happen? It's tough, right?
It's tough. It's tough for me to say. I mean, obviously there's interest in FAS, and obviously there's interest in Perry to want to get this going and sign on as a heritage player. It's all up to the Singapore government and, in particular, Ministry of Defence.
Correct.
I'm skeptical about this. Even though I want it to happen, but it's a lot of hurdles to jump through, and I'm not even sure they could get it done by this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. But to me, this is controversial, I suppose, but to me, if we don't get Perry Ng on board in 2024, in some capacity, if we don't make progress, at least, then we might as well give up. Just put our money into sailing or swimming, the nice atas sports.
Kite foiling.
Yeah, put our money into that and give up. Because if we can't get a guy that talented who is
willing to do it.
Yeah, exactly, who has intimated he wants to play for Singapore, if we can't get Perry Ng, if we can't reach out to Perry Ng and make some sort of accommodation to get a player that talented, we might as well give up.
Yeah.
We might as well give up. That's the way I see it. Anyway, as always, let us know what you think. Right, to finish off, one big prediction for 2024. Could be local, could be EPL, or both. What have you got?
Manchester City will not win the title.
Is that it? All right, okay.
I believe it.
Right, my one is, I'll do EPL first. My EPL prediction for 2024, not a big one. Declan Rice will become the best defensive midfielder in the world. Some would say he's close, but Rodri is probably there at the moment. Yeah. I think in the next 5 or 6 months, it's extraordinary. He hasn't just come into Arsenal. He's come in and he's running the team. Yeah. Running the team. I think at the Euros, he'll do the same for England. Between Arsenal and England at the Euros, Declan Rice will be the number one defensive midfielder in the world.
Okay.
You don't agree?
I agree. I'm a fan of Declan Rice. I think he's the closest thing I can see to Steven Gerrard than anybody else.
He's great.
So I mean, if he goes out, I'll be happy.
All right, and last one to finish. Have you got one? A prediction, a local Singapore football prediction for 2024?
Young Lions will not win the title.
Young Lions won't win the title. Man City won't win anything. He's such a pessimist. All right, I'll finish on an optimistic one. And I don't think this is going to happen. But my 2024 Singapore football prediction is Perry Ng will become a Singapore Lion.
Wow.
I don't actually think it's going to happen, but if it does happen, we could just cut this part and say the first part.
Best case scenario, I think. Well, it's a good group.
It's a positive note to
thing.
finish on. It's the time for resolutions, New Year's resolutions. Yeah. What do you think? Will Perry Yang become a Singaporean footballer in 2024? Send all your comments to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
Brilliant. It's going to be a great year for Singapore football, wonderful. EPL football, Euro 2024 coming, Champions League coming. Yeah. So much to look forward to. So stick with us right here.
Footballing Weekly, every week.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
See you.